Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's edition of Midweek Minutes. It's the hot, sticky days of June. Hope you're having a good time and not getting too hot and sticky out there. Well, I just want to touch base with you real quickly on a few things. And the email, the text of the email to which this video was attached, you will notice some bullet points with some key dates and information reminders. But here's me talking through it just to give it a little color commentary, so to speak. I want to remind you that the month of June has brought back to us several things that we have been missing for the last year plus. We have resumed our fellowship hour immediately following the worship service each Sunday morning down in the fellowship hall. It is still a COVID protocol friendly snack and distribution and fellowship time. We keep all those things in mind, but we are able to do a little bit closer together, regathering and so forth. So we began last week. This week, you'll notice a sign-up sheet on the bulletin. We are still doing this kind of on a smaller scale food-wise, so keep that in mind as I make this request. But if there is a particular Sunday in which you would like to help provide that fellowship gathering snack and refreshments, we would love for you to be able to do that. That was our custom for the most part, whether it's for you personally, your family, maybe a Sunday school class, even though our Sunday schools haven't resumed meeting just yet, but Bible study group, committee, or so forth. So we'll begin getting back into that routine of some of those typical committee groups that have chosen such and such a Sunday throughout the season as we get into the fall. But we do want to give you opportunity through the summer, maybe as individuals or individual families, to sign up to provide that resource. If there's a special day in your life you'd like to help celebrate, we certainly want to give you that opportunity. So there's going to be a sign-up sheet, no pressure there, but we want to let you know that is a possibility for you. And we enjoyed hanging out a little bit. So we'll do that again this week, immediately following our time together in worship. Also want to remind you that last week in the month of June, we began our Thursday Bible study, 10 a.m., gathered in the church library. We are trying to do some social distancing or protocol awareness kind of things. We had a good little crowd, and if we need to, we can go down to the fellowship hall. But we want you to come. There's room for a few more, certainly in the church library. If we need to do that, if you're more comfortable, we could certainly go down the hall to the fellowship hall. But for now, let's keep it, say, 10 a.m. in the church library on Thursdays. And what I'm going to do this week is begin a study in an Old Testament book we haven't looked at. It's one that contains a lot of the heroes of the faith. But we're going to begin studying in the book of Judges. We're not going to be able to go verse by verse. Some of that's kind of depressing, actually. But when you look at it, there's some great heroes of the faith that have a brief appearance in the historical narrative of Scripture, but they've got some lessons for us. God worked through them in a mighty way. And so we're going to take a few moments to look at those over the coming weeks, probably taking us through the better part of the summer. So looking through the history of the Judges. So we'll be looking at Samson and Gideon and those guys, and Deborah, one of the women who were part of that group. And so we want to invite you, particularly those of you who might be retired or have work flexibility where you're able to participate with us each week. It is not going to be hybrid. It is just live in person only. We do a streaming connection, or actually a Zoom connection, with our Tuesday night Bible study. So if that fits you a little bit better, we certainly want to let you know of that. And that resumed some time ago. We're meeting on Tuesday night, 7 o'clock in the church library. If you would like the Zoom connection, you can reach out to the church office and we'll send you that link. So those are your Bible study opportunities for small group studies. We know that we're going to be resuming some of the Sunday morning things and other events as we get towards the fall, but we look forward to sharing some time in the Word there in that small group setting on Tuesdays and now on Thursdays, 10 a.m. in the church library as we begin studying this week in the book of Judges. Now, a couple of things just to highlight for you coming up. And you've got the dates again in the text of this email. but I want to remind you of a called business meeting on Sunday, the 27th. That's the last Sunday of this month. And we will be having just two topics in a called meeting like this. This is the only thing that will be discussed. We will be presenting to you for discussion and decision our leadership roster for the next church year, which begins on July 1st and runs through the 30th of June of next year, 2022. And for those of you who have already said, yes, I'll be willing to serve or to continue to serve, know that we thank you. And for those of you who are still in that prayerful exploration of that, know that we certainly want to plug you in wherever you feel God leading you. So please just know that there is a place of service for you. And if you have an interest, you certainly can let us know. Also, in that business meeting on the 27th, we will be presenting to you our next year's fiscal budget, which runs the same time frame, July 1st through June 30th of 2022. And so we are going to be presenting that to you. Now, actually, that is not going to be the first time that you see all of that information. In the coming days, just very soon, you'll be receiving that leadership roster, as well as the proposed budget. There are a couple of things that we're working on still with the budget, trying to make it, in response to some of your thoughts and comments, as reader-friendly and as accessible and easy to digest as we can, without watering down too much of the information. So what we want to do is provide that for you, as well as some of the details that you're used to seeing in the next few days. You'll have ample time to look over it and then to ask any questions. Now, I'm going to give you specific information in the coming days of how you can do just that. You certainly, as far as the leadership roster, as well as the budget, you will have an opportunity to reach out to our financial leadership, the church office, whether it be Chuck, whether it be Charlotte McComas, who is serving as chair just for another few weeks as her term expires at the end of the month. You can reach out to me or to the church office. You can certainly reach out to our church clerk, Lori Dobbins, when it comes particularly to the leadership roster, and reach out to us if you have any questions or comments. You're going to get that information in a separate email with further instructions. I just want to call your attention to be on the lookout for that. You will get it in ample time, roughly 2 weeks prior to the time that you will get a chance to vote on it, so that you will have ample opportunity to review it before you give your yay or nay, or even have comments in the questions in the business meeting. Now, let me tell you very quickly, again, there will be further information forthcoming on how this is going to work, but I want to let you know what's going to happen on the 27th. The 27th, that business meeting will be done in the sanctuary. It will happen immediately following our worship service, roughly, let's call it 12:15. And we will be streaming it again, just like we did the business session that we had about a month ago. We will be able to receive comments during that time. You'll be able to ask questions, and we'll be able, hopefully, to answer them in both of those arenas. Those are the only two topics that will be discussed and presented during that time. Now, the voting for that will take place over the following days. You'll have an opportunity to respond via the online balloting that we used last year for the very same decisions that we had to make. Now, you may be thinking, what? Why are we doing that? We typically have had, when we had a meeting, we had a voice vote or raise your hands or whatever, and we got it done. Well, there is a reason that we're doing that again this year. If you recall, last year, it was year ago now, we were in much more strict. We were still at some stay-at-home orders, and we were not even regathering yet. And so it was very difficult for us to have a standard business meeting. One of the things that we learned from our attorneys that have really been set before us, and something we've tried to have to navigate through this pandemic limitation, is that decisions made by the church body have to be made in the exact same way across the board. Anytime we have a meeting, anytime that we would have a proposal online or in person or whatever the case may be, as an incorporated entity, we are a nonprofit, but incorporated as a nonprofit entity in the Commonwealth of Virginia. We have certain obligations that we have to meet in state guidelines. And one of those is to make sure that members or investors or whatever, if any other kind of incorporated entity, that those who have a vote on matters such as the budget or the leadership roster, in our case, get the exact same, equal opportunity to cast a ballot. And here's what concerned us. Last year, if you recall, we were all stuck at home. And so we provided a pre-recorded kind of business session presentation. We sent that to you, and then we sent to you a link to a survey mechanism with the 2 questions for the leadership roster and for the budget, where you could yay or nay either one of them. And then you had to click on that, and your one-time vote was registered. We did make accommodations for those who do not have internet access. And we also made accommodations for those who might struggle with that. And so we gave you a period of time, several days, 48, 72 hours or so, to respond so that assistance could be given, whether it's over the phone or one of our deacons or someone making a visit to say, here's how you do it. We want to make it as simple for you as possible. That's what we did last year. This year, we know that we'll have a number of people regathering. We'll have a number of people in the sanctuary. We also will have a number of people who feel connected, want to be connected, want to be a part of that decision, who will be watching online because for a variety of reasons, they are not able to regather with us. And because we are still in somewhat of a COVID protocol dynamic, we want to make as fair an offer of the voting process to every church member that we can. And because we're streaming and we want you to know the information, we want to hear from you and we want to have that conversation together, we are not able to have a hybrid vote. We can't say legally, we're not supposed to say, those of you in favor, raise your hand. Those of you at home, send a text right now. Anybody watching this in the next few days, send us an email and we'll let it pass. Technically, we're not able to do that. We have to provide the exact same opportunity for voting. So we're going to do a little bit of what we did last year, a little bit of what we did last month, and combine them together. We're going to have a live in person, and it's going to be a live streaming opportunity, a separate streaming. We'll end the worship service, we'll begin the other, and we'll actually have that opportunity just like we did about a month ago. And then Sunday afternoon, we will send you the link to those ballots where you can, between that moment and Wednesday the 30th, make your decision known. And every person, whether you're streaming, whether you were there or whatever, you will have the exact same opportunity, the exact same mechanism for casting your ballot. And that is what the laws of incorporation, even for nonprofits, even in the process of a pandemic, those are the things we have to do. So what we want to do, it may have made sound more complicated than it is, but we're going to give everybody the opportunity to vote online. You will have an opportunity, 2 ways to connect in that business session. And instead of making the decision right there in the moment, you will have an opportunity to continue to reflect on the discussion, the answers, and that maybe even seek further clarification before you do that. Again, assistance will be provided and accommodations will be made for those who are simply not able to do that. Now, why are we doing that? Yes, we could simply say, well, it's just people here who get to vote, but we don't want to don't want to do that. We have a number of people who will be remaining at home a little while longer, and we certainly understand that. And we want to give you the opportunity to participate, because you participate in your prayers, you watch worship, you're engaged in the business session, you send in tithes and offerings, you're participating, you're doing things even in this kind of distanced way. And we want to honor that by giving you as equal a voice in the decision-making process. Now, hope I didn't muddy the waters. I probably didn't intend to. You'll have further explanation and further opportunity to ask questions, even about the process. But please circle the 27th. That's the last Sunday of the month. That is the call business meeting for those two items. Know that every church member will have an opportunity to engage, to listen, and then to make their voice be known in the exact same way. And to help you accommodate that, we are going to give you not only the opportunity that Sunday, but Monday, Tuesday, and then by the end of the business day on Wednesday to cast your ballot. We fully anticipate our budget. We fully anticipate our leadership roster passing. But we want to give you that opportunity to let your voice be heard. And so stay tuned for further details and specific instructions as those things draw nearer. But I wanted to give you that full several weeks of a heads up of what's going to happen in the coming days. Well, there's a lot that's going on. Hope that you're going to plug in, and we will see you Sunday, one way or the other, live or online. We'll see you for worship in a few days. Have a great rest of the week.